un poder de Cindy me llena. Mi vida se hace fuerte en las batallas, porque estando de rodillas Dios me habla. Y tengo la seguridad a dónde ir, cómo llegar. Si vienen pruebas venceré, pues de rodillas estoy, de rodillas puedo ver aquellas cosas que Dios ve, y triunfaré en la adversidad. Mi vida cambiará de rodillas. Oh, oh, mi vida cambiará de rodillas. Soy más alto porque estoy de rodillas. Soy un gigante ante la vida. Levanto mis manos.
Atraviesa el tráfico de autos con el mejor playlist.
The drive home sounds better.
Que el camino suena mejor con la Celestial 106.5.
No le cambie, porque a continuación comenzará un programa que bendecirá tu vida. Aquí en la Celestial FM 106.5. El siguiente programa es clasificación A, apto para todo público. Contenido E, entretenimiento.
Toda palabra o punto doctrinal emitido en el siguiente programa es responsabilidad exclusiva del programador y no de esta radioestación.
Bienvenidos a Café con Hispanos, un programa que conecta nuestra fe, nuestros valores como familia, nuestros negocios y proyectos de ley que afectan a nuestra comunidad hispana aquí en Carolina del Norte. Entrevistamos al gobierno y a líderes de nuestra comunidad para dialogar sobre el trabajo que realizan en beneficio nuestro, actualidad y un sabor a dulce hogar. Somos la voz de nuestra gente hispana. Le damos la bienvenida al pastor Gilbert Pagan. Café con Hispanos comienza.
¿Qué sería de mí si no me hubieras alcanzado? ¿Dónde estaría hoy si no me hubieras perdonado? Tendría un vacío en mi corazón, vagaría sin rumbo, sin dirección. Si no fuera por tu gracia y por tu amor, si no fuera por tu gracia y por tu amor, sería como un pájaro herido que se muere en el suelo. Sería como un ciervo que brama por agua en un desierto. Si no fuera por tu gracia y por tu amor, si no fuera por tu gracia y por tu amor, ¿qué sería de mí si no me hubieras alcanzado? ¿Dónde estaría hoy si no me hubieras perdonado? Tendría un vacío en mi corazón, vagaría sin rumbo, sin dirección. Si no fuera por tu gracia y por tu amor, si no fuera por tu gracia.
Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Hispanics, Café con Hispanos. We're sitting here in the studio in Raleigh, North Carolina, and we're going to have a discussion today with Bryson Johnson, who's running for NC House District 21. We'll talk a little bit about his campaign and why he's running and the like. And He's a man of faith and a family man and a business owner, and he decided to throw his hat into the ring to run for political office in order to, I guess, make an impact on the community and the people that he would serve in that particular district. So, Bryson, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks, Gil. Appreciate that.
No, good to have you here. And so, tell us a little bit about why. Well, let's pull back a little bit. A little bit about you, your background,
Sure,
right?
sure.
Your background, and then what kind of motivated you to throw your hat into the political ring, which is not what everybody typically does. It's typically I have a certain perception of that, and we'll get into that a little bit. But tell us a little bit about you, and why you decided to run.
Yeah, thank you. So I was born in Augusta, Georgia. Been in North Carolina now about 25 years. I had a single mom for a lot of my life. With my wife, we moved to Fort Bragg, where I had a job working for the Department of Defense as a contractor for the U.S. Army. Had the top secret clearance, the whole 9 yards. And, I gave that up because we wanted to, we always had a passion for martial arts. So I started when I was 10. I met her, Melissa, at 12, and so the rest is history. We grew up together. She was my first serious girlfriend because we started dating at 12. What kind of serious girlfriend you got at 11, right?
Right.
And we went to college together. I went to Fort Bragg to work, but we always had the goal of teaching martial arts because, I say the goal is to be a passionate role model who empowers. And in this case, it was through martial arts. You got to be passionate about something. If your goal is to empower somebody, give power to them. And in this case, it was through martial arts, but now it's through politics. And we've had our school in Cary, North Carolina, for 20 years. And then bringing it back to the current, I also work in cybersecurity for a healthcare company. And so I stay pretty busy. During the day, I work full-time, and then I teach Taekwondo and a little bit of grappling at night. And then also I'm running into politics now.
Right.
So it's a matter of it being something necessary. Otherwise, I wouldn't have just chosen this time to do it.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've been around here. I've been in North Carolina over 20 years, almost 20 years actually, and ran around in political circles. And I speak to people who want to get involved, right? And I said, you can do you could do a couple of things as a citizen. I said, you can email, call your legislators about a particular issue that affects your life. You could go on Facebook, or you can do that. You can protest, right, on an issue that's important to you, that affects your daily life, or maybe affects other people and you just want to make an impact. Or you could go to the legislature, you can go to council meetings, you can go to commissioner meetings, you can speak up about an issue that affects you, or you could run for office. So so you went from not knowing everything you were doing beforehand. You went from I guess obviously you're still working, but business owner, family guy, working to I'm going to run for office, right? So you went to the top of the food chain, which is the highest calling, right? In civic involvement to actually get active and do something and change, right? Your community and make an impact in North Carolina. So congratulations on that, and kudos to doing that, because putting your name on the ballot.
There's a lot of scrutiny.
Yeah, exactly. You're under the microscope for a lot of reasons, and it is the highest level of civic engagement, and getting involved, and you went right to the top, right? So it looks like you're not doing anything half-assed. You're going right to try to make an impact and affect legislation and things of that nature. So, what drove you to literally put your name on the ballot? In Apex, you live in Apex, right? So your district represents what? Is it all Apex?
It's Apex and Cary.
Okay, so you got
New Hill.
And New Hill. Okay, so you got some Apex and Cary, mostly Apex, right? Mm-hmm. Is that fair? And some Cary and New Hill.
West Cary.
Right, West Cary and New Hill. So what prompted you to go, go the extreme, right, for me, all the way to the top, and you're going to say, I'm going to write my name on the ballot to run for office?
Well, let me tell you, Gil. So come September, I think, will be a year from Charlie Kirk's death, his murder. And, it's a matter of timing for me, this incident, this horrible tragedy, and then seeing the aftermath of people celebrating it. And along the same time frame, we had Irina Zarutska on the Charlotte subway. She got brutally killed for just being on the subway. And that's a horrible, horrible act, right? But then to see in 2 minutes, I watched the tape because I was hopeful like somebody would reach out and either try and stop the blood, even if there's nothing that you could do. You're not trained medically.
Yeah.
You just hold her hand, pray for her, whatever you're going to do. And to me, in my life, that was a turning point where if we don't have people that step up, who we're not always going to agree all the time, but if we're unapologetically consistent, we condemn all hate, we condemn all violence, not just when it affects someone who looks like you or somebody who votes like you, but like blanket across the board, just trying to do the right thing. For me, that was the turning point in the aftermath of that string of horrible tragedies. And it's also how we treat each other. It's how we how we see people governing. Politics is wild. It is wild because you see people condemn violence. Again, if someone looks like you, that might touch your heart, but you need to condemn all violence. You need to condemn all hate, and try and see each other as human beings again. Because if you can convince somebody that they're not human, then you sure you don't care what happens to them, right? And so we need to put your face out there in politics. Also being having a day job, and also being a business owner. It's a little bit different. It matches kind of my personality and my thought process about politics, but I can't exactly be saying a lot of hateful things, right? If you have a job and then you have clients or customers, right? They're going to say, well, why did you say this, right?
Sure.
So while that puts me in a position of higher scrutiny, not just among the public, but among your customers, and maybe they don't like your politics, right? I think at the end of the day, most people will be okay if you differ from them in opinion, but what they really care about is your rhetoric, the way you handle yourself, and are you contributing to more vilification of your neighbor, or are you contributing to solutions?
Right, gotcha. And that's a good segue into one of the points we want to talk about today is the where we are as a community. And it could be national, but I like to focus on North Carolina and maybe Wake County, where we are as a community when it comes to civil discourse and civil conversations, where we can have a dialogue, right, between people of different parties and different political affiliations, and talk around issues and just have a conversation around beliefs, around policy, and just have that dialogue. And I think that one of the things that I've seen you doing is trying to have that that rational common sense. Let's have a conversation about something. We may disagree, we may never agree on the issue, but just to have the dialogue and
agree to disagree.
Right, and the civil discourse of and just the we can't even have the conversation. Some on both sides, right, don't want to have the conversation on any hot issue because they're so entrenched in,
dug in, exactly.
Right, they're dug into their belief system, which is again okay, as long as you can have the conversation with someone and help them understand why. So I know that you've seen a lot of that, and I know part of your platform and what you're sharing, just about who you are as a person, that we should have those conversations, whether we disagree, agree, whatever. So talk a little bit about that part, kind of what is, I guess, how do we, what's driving you on the civil discourse, and what, you'd like to accomplish? I mean, just get people together.
Well, I'll admit, I don't know half the time I don't know what I'm doing in politics, and maybe that's me sharing what other people won't say is the truth. But I would say a lot of people, they don't know what they're doing either.
Right, sure.
But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because being a little naive coming into politics, you're a little bit more open to discourse. You're not so dug in. Right, there was a national poll. It was called the Hidden Tribes Project. It divided the electorate into 7 groups, far right and left. They were, the people who were dug in, right? It doesn't mean they were bad. They were just dug in, right? Those are the people who, if you post something on Facebook, if something's not quite right, they're going to chime in, right? They don't contribute to discourse because they have their opinion. You're not going to change it, right? The rest of us, what I would consider I'm in, is the 5 in the middle, and they were called the exhausted majority. So whether, what I say resonates or not, you got to admit we're in a position right now where that's kind of the MO. I mean, that's how people feel, to where it alienates people, and people don't want to go to the town council. They don't want to go, have these civil discourse opportunities, because they either think they're apathetic because they've been burned before by politicians. They don't think that anything's going to change, or that they're really listening to them, or they're going to do whatever they want to do anyway, right? That they really don't have a voice.
Right.
So people are disengaged, and that would be the exhausted majority. The key is that they still vote. But if we don't have conversations, we're doomed, right? Because the conversation sitting across from you, 2 human beings, flesh and blood, right? Not going to agree on everything, but you have the keyboard warriors out there that they just spout out everything that they probably don't even half agree with, but just to get reactions. That's not actual real life. Right here is real life. Right? We're not going to agree, but we can come together and discuss things and perhaps have a better understanding of each other in the process.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that conversations like we used to have in the old days, back in the 80s or 90s, for some of the younger people listening, is different than it is today. It's not a face-to-face conversation.
You can't go to a barbecue right now, without politics being brought up. And if it is, if politics are brought up, then you have people who now they don't go to the grandma's birthday party because somebody voted for a different person than you like.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and we don't have the face-to-face dialogue as we used to. It's more online, social, and texting, and versus even some people not even making phone calls anymore. It's just text, right? So we've lost that human element, touching the person, talking to the person, having a bite to eat, just connecting and the like. And I do see a shift happening already. People are getting tired of that. Even some of the younger people are getting tired of the screen time. They're getting tired of the texting. They want real connection. They're going out. They want to have a soda, a drink, a beer, whatever they are. They want to have something to eat. They want to see people because they got tired of the screen and just the interaction. I think that hopefully that'll lead to more civil conversations, discourse about issues, and just have that kind of stuff.
And you're talking about levels deep, right?
Yeah.
If you have 5,000 Facebook friends, how many of them would help you move, right? Hopefully one of them will help you move your sofa, but it's kind of like we're not very deep anymore, right?
That's right.
You have 5,000 friends, but how many meaningful friends do you have?
Usually a very small percentage of that. So we need more civil conversations, and I know that's something that's important to you around different issues and topics and the like. Just to understand people, and we can just share and agree to disagree, and that's fine as long as we're respectful toward each other and have that dialogue. And then you get to learn about the person and why they feel that way. You may disagree with them anyway, but at least you understand where they're coming from, right? And me as well, and I understand where I may disagree, but Okay, fine.
And that's okay.
Yeah, right. And that's the way we do things here in America. So, but I'd like to see more of that. So let's talk a little bit about affordability, right? And everybody's hurting right now. Some are hurting more than others, but generally speaking, when you go to the pump and you pump your gas prices are high. Food prices have gone down a little bit. But still the meat prices are high. Red meat in particular is high. Taxes are there. Inflation has kind of leveled off a little bit. It's looking good, but still people are still hurting.
Yeah.
And taxes, real estate taxes. Got me on the wrong side there, but real estate taxes, Duke Energy want to raise taxes, raise the rates. So talk about as a legislator, what you can do and help on the affordability side with constituents. And obviously, as a member of the legislature, you're representing all of North Carolina because you're voting there for policies that
and even
everybody.
the people who don't vote for me.
Right, exactly. But ideally, I believe your first responsibility is to what your constituents want and what they support. I mean, at least that's the way I see it, because they're the one that voted you in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I have an opponent who actually admitted on microphone that there were hard votes that she made that she disagreed with. And I don't really understand that. There's a difference in maybe you don't disagree or you disagree with your base and the overwhelming electorate, right, percentage of your electorate, they want this bill. And you might think, oh, well, I wasn't really for it, but I'm representing my electorate.
Right, my people.
Right? Now, that's different.
Yeah.
That's different than saying you voted for something and you didn't agree with it. So I think that's crazy. It's insane. Affordability is in like this expression of, if your friend doesn't have a job, then you're in a recession.
Right.
If you don't have a job, it's a depression.
Right.
Right? So,
Right.
I mean, it's a matter of relativity. Like, how do you feel? No matter whether the governor, the president, Secretary of State, Secretary of Commerce, if they come out and they say the economy's doing great, right? You may not feel that way, right? So, I mean, the metrics in terms of unemployment, in terms of the stock market, are great. If you're like me, you have a savings account, you have a retirement account, and you don't look at it, right? It's not like I'm going to say, wow, the stock market's up, so I can go buy a new car. It's just there. It's there for my future, right? So, look, those fluctuations aren't going to really make an impact in my daily life in the stock market if you're not actively trading the stock market, right?
Right.
I mean, when you go to the grocery store and prices are up, you start choosing the store brands. If you didn't buy store brands before, you start choosing the store brands, stuff like that. So, I mean, the reality is we all know that we're feeling it. So it's not a matter of what I will do as much as I won't do, right? So we have folks that believe in big government. They believe in over-regulation. Well, any regulation, if you're a tradesman, if you're a plumber, if you're an electrician, and they say, oh, we added new regulation, that's going to affect your bottom line, right? And that's going to transition to your profit margin, and you're going to pass it over to the customer, right? Any regulation that you add, some regulation is good, but honestly, a lot of regulation is bad. It raises costs. So, you look at what regulations can be cut. I don't believe in villainizing grocery stores and gas stations. We know the margins in a grocery store and gas station aren't great, right? So we can't really go there. We can look at how we're going to bring more jobs into the area through incentives, and how we can support an economy. But it's not going to ever happen through increased regulation.
I gotcha. I know that in North Carolina, we've done the legislature's done a pretty good job in lowering taxes for the working class. I don't know what the number is, but I heard it's, the next one coming on board will be 3.9% or something like that of taxes being taken out.
And
by
there's
the
an
state.
amendment coming
an
up.
amendment coming up on the ballot as well to kind of lower it more for the working class. So less taxes out of our paycheck means more money in our pocket. So meaning we can invest that, at least more money for your family, gas in your car, food on your table, things like that. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it also is a philosophy of how you see the government. We believe in safety nets, right? That's what makes America great. In other countries, if you lose your job, you go hungry, right? So I think that's important. That's critical. It's important to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse so that we make our tax dollars stretch. But, when you look at the philosophy of how government works, if you gave the government $50 a week, or if you took that $50 a week, who's going to be a better steward of that money?
Sure.
Right? Is the government going to feed your kids better having that $50? Is the government going to expand your business and promote or advertise your business with that $50? So we understand that government is essential, right? They're essential services, but a bloated government only creates wealthy politicians.
Right.
Right? The amendment was for 3.5%. And then it's to rein in our property taxes. So there'll be 2 amendments on your ballot in November. It'll cap the tax rate at 3.5%, which means that any governor in the future, it'll be a constitutional amendment, they have to rein in their spending, which is going to, by default, create a reining in of waste, fraud, and abuse. Because you're going to be, if you made $500 a week, and then you suddenly are going to make $400 a week, you're going to say, well, I have to, figure out some things here, right? But government doesn't work like that. Government continues to get bloated and just have an endless check.
Right.
Right? So part of that process is, we know North Carolina's growing. It's one of the fastest growing states. A lot of people post-COVID came to North Carolina. But another important aspect is North Carolina is a somewhat purple state, right? For good reason, right? It's not a Democrat state. It's not necessarily a Republican state. And that's what I love about it, is that you have some diversity. But there are a lot of forces who move from New York or move from California, and they say, wow, I'm fleeing the burdensome taxes in North Carolina New York and California to come to North Carolina, but I don't want to lose my politics, right? So it takes a little bit of education as well when you're talking to people who, come from markets, from states that they're fleeing.
Yeah, absolutely. They come with their politics with them if they were voting for people who raise their taxes. And in North Carolina, you want to obviously go with the party, if this is where you're going, that supports low taxes, less regulations, so you get more money in your pocket, right? And do what you need to do with your own money.
Who is a better steward of their money than you?
That's right. Exactly. That's exactly right. Exactly right. So, it's going to talk about a little bit about public safety. In Apex, I know that that there's been some issues there. I'm not tracking everything over there, but I know there's been issues in Wake County in general regarding crime and youth, the teen takeovers that's more recently been in the news. A lot of arrests for crime and drugs and things of that nature. I know some of that's in Apex. I'm not sure how much, but there's concerns about that. People living there concerned about, and that's more of a local council issue, but they're concerned about whether they're doing enough to reduce crime in general. So, talk a little bit about your thoughts on public safety and how do we get a grip of this, and how can the legislature help?
Sure. Well, I totally support training for the police, right? I don't think the police can be trained enough. I think, most police out there, they're working hard. Having taught martial arts for, since I was 12 years old, assisting with classes, I've always had the mindset of how to keep people safe, right? How to keep, your kids safe, your family safe, keeping, your head on a swivel, not being paranoid, but just being aware of your surroundings. But in a community like Apex and Cary, we can get those blinders, right? We think, this is our status, this is our status quo, this is great, but it doesn't take long for liberalism to change your safety and change your priorities, right? I teach a lot of teenagers, and I had a girl just started with us with 5, and she's 18 now, and which is kind of scary because I have, kids that I taught when they were 4 years old, and now they're like 20-something, and I'm like, oh my gosh, where has time gone, right?
Right.
But so she started when she was 5, and now she's 18. She's going off to NC State. Okay, that's great, but she still needs to know how to manage her surroundings, be aware, if you're in a parking garage, that sort of thing. But then, you might go off to some other area, and you got to be able to defend yourself. So that's always been, top of mind for me, teaching self-defense. The last thing I want to have happen is one of my students, train with me for years, and then they say, oh, I wasn't able to defend myself.
Right.
I trained for 10 years, and I wasn't able to defend myself, right? We want to stave it off before it ever gets there, right? They say, oh, I was in a parking garage, and it just didn't feel right, and I was able to, to be aware of that situation and get out of that situation safely without even fighting. Oh, that's great. That's the kind of thing. But as far as public safety is concerned, it's important we vote for conservative judges. There was a woman at one of the schools, I believe it was Ravenscroft. She had, maybe 2 years ago, she got murdered on the phone with 911. And so 911 didn't get there fast enough, but it was a person that was let out, several times. We see these stories all the time. Irina Zarutska, the same situation. Somebody was arrested 14 times. And we call that love and compassion. That's not love and compassion, right? But then it also brings to center focus mental health. I was doing some research, 150 to 165 days for somebody to return to competency to stand trial, right? 150 to 160 days. They're either in jail, the judge will drop the charges, or they'll let them out. I mean, it's insane, right? Fortunately, North Carolina isn't as bad as some other, jurisdictions, but it's getting there if we don't elect conservative judges. I mean, you're 150, 160 days for somebody just to be competent enough to, or to even get seen, to get counseling, to get therapy, to stand trial.
Wow.
So we've got a serious mental health epidemic in this country, and I see a lot of politicians using that as a talking point, but then nothing ever happens, right? And that's the one thing is, I seek to under-promise and over-deliver, right? People promise you the world. Well, I'm going to make promises, but I'm going to over-deliver on them, right? Not just lie to you to get elected.
Gotcha. So what I'm hearing is on the public safety issue is situational awareness, learn how to protect yourself. Obviously, because somebody, by the time police gets to you, it could be too late. So learn how to protect yourself, situational awareness. Second part is having strong judges that obviously put people behind bars who should be behind bars and not be released over and over again. The other part I'm hearing is strong DAs.
That's a great topic.
Bail reform issues where you keep people behind bars who should be there versus getting them out with no bail or low bail. So
Can we talk DAs just for a second?
Say a DA? Sure, go ahead. So
my opponent, she actually was campaigning for a DA, the Wake County DA, and she said, a lot of people say tough on crime, but no, we need somebody who actually understands the issues. Well, the issues are this person was arrested 14 times, and they were let out to kill someone. We're not talking, compassion for people, right? At any time, we should have compassion for people and try and get them the help that they need, right? But we're talking about lost causes, 14 times arrested, right? people
There's
who
a pattern.
Yeah, it's a pattern.
Yeah.
People who the DA will try and get them into mental detainment, but then the judge says no, right? So it's a mix between the DAs and the judges, right? You have to have good DAs and judges. You might have a good DA who says this guy or girl doesn't need to be on the street. They're a danger to people, right? Okay, so their conscience is clean. The judge says, no, I'm not going to allow it. And they let them out. They hurt somebody or kill somebody, right? The DA says, well, I did everything I could. The judge, it's on their conscience. So I think it takes full circle, with the justice system, right?
Yeah.
Good cops, good DAs, good detectives, good judges.
Yeah, exactly. So we need to look at all those issues in order to control, manage public safety, and make everybody safe and be able to go out and have a good time with their family, go to a park, go to a restaurant, not be concerned about their safety.
Which is good for business.
Right, in general.
If you're afraid to go out, that impacts your business.
That's exactly right, yeah. So, no, that's just some good points there. We're talking with Bryson Johnson, who's running for North Carolina House 21, and we're talking about his campaign and why he's running and a couple of issues that he's running on. We're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to come back in a minute or two, and then we'll get back to having this conversation with Bryson. Vamos a un descanso comercial. Stay with us.
Hispanos del Sur, la voz de los hispanos en Carolina del Norte, quiere asegurarle que esté al tanto de los programas que le beneficiarán a usted y a su familia. Servimos a familias y a empresas en 4 áreas. 1. Creación, financiamiento y crecimiento de pequeñas empresas. 2. Becas para enviar a sus hijos a escuelas privadas y religiosas. 3. Programas de salud y bienestar para mejorar su salud y obtener seguro médico. 4. Educación cívica, políticas públicas y cómo las leyes y regulaciones afectan su vida diaria. Nos aseguramos de que nuestras voces se escuchen en todos los niveles de gobierno. ¿Necesita hablar con nosotros o colaborar con nosotros? Contáctenos al 919-931-4597 o por correo electrónico connect@hispanosdelsur.com o envíe un mensaje en redes sociales. Hispanos del Sur, la voz de la comunidad hispana.
La Celestial 106.5 está cada vez más comprometida contigo. Escucha cada jueves Café con Hispanos con el pastor Gilbert Pagan. A las 4 de la tarde, disfruta de un contenido de actualidad y relación directa con nuestra comunidad, un programa de fe, valores familiares, negocios, gobierno y más. Recuerda que cada jueves tienes una cita con la Celestial a las 4 de la tarde. Café con Hispanos con el pastor Gilbert Pagan.
Sería de mí si no me hubieras alcanzado? ¿Dónde estaría hoy si no me hubieras perdonado? Tendría un vacío en mi corazón, vagaría sin rumbo, sin dirección. Si no fuera por y por tu amor, si no fuera por tu gracia y por tu amor, sería como un pájaro herido que se muere en el suelo, sería como un ciervo que brama por agua en un desierto. Si no fuera por tu gracia y por tu amor, si no fuera por tu gracia y por tu amor, ¿qué sería de mí si no me hubiera
We're back with Bryson Johnson here in the studios in Raleigh, talking about his campaign and having a dialogue. And we've covered a couple of issues: affordability, taxes, public safety, and civil conversations. And we'd like to talk a little bit about the difference between him and his opponent, and some of the things that he's uncovered about her. Yalu is the opponent, and go ahead and share
Sure.
some of the what you labeled as hypocrisies in what she does as a legislator, and some of the things that you'd like to get out there.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, first and foremost, I didn't join this race because I saw my opponent. In fact, the people I talked to, they hardly know her name at all because she's not out in the public, But it's not that I saw Yalu and I said, I'm going to run because she's doing X, Y, and Z. I ran for much larger issues about, like we talked about, civil discourse, the way we treat each other, governing, but also hypocrisy. And some of the hypocritical things I've seen, there was a Texas representative, Gene Wu, and he came out and he basically villainized a whole group of people, millions of people, as the oppressor. And she was campaigning with this individual. He campaigned for her last year. But she's one who says that she condemns rhetoric. But generally, she only condemns rhetoric that is on her side, right?
Political
either
side.
political or identity.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Right? Whereas that really bothers me because I say, well, you should condemn everything, right? If it's bad, it's bad. Doesn't matter if it benefits you or hurts you politically. So another aspect is people have recorded her driving with, her phone, looking at her phone, placing, people at risk, and then actually having a video conference as a state representative. Being dressed as Representative Yalu, and even she says, "Oh, I'm driving." Now, I have a young driver, and we tell them, do not take your eye off the road, right? We know it's illegal, but everybody's going to make mistakes, but it's a matter of you are under greater scrutiny. Now, if I go out here and I'm looking at my phone and somebody records me, then I signed up to be in office, right? But also it's a matter of why do that in the first place. It kind of goes back to what I was saying, having a martial arts school where you want to be a passionate role model who empowers people. Yeah. So we meet our students all the time in Apex, Cary, going to the Lowe's or Target. Oh, Mr. Johnson. Oh, wow, you got big, or, they're current students. And, if they saw me, berating the representative or the cashier, well, that wouldn't really be a good reflection of what I try and teach, right? Courtesy, integrity, perseverance, self-control, indomitable spirit. Anybody who's trained in Taekwondo knows those 5. But when you internalize that, either as a leader, as a business owner, you understand that you're under scrutiny. I've always been under scrutiny, just being in the public eye. But I internalize that to where I think that's one of the biggest problems that we face today is just the pure hypocrisy of things that you say, but you're very selective.
Yeah, I got you. So it's interesting that you've identified a couple of issues where she was supportive of people of her views, and even though those views may have been bad, because it was people who think like her, then that's okay because it's along her political ideology or her party or whatever, what have you.
And it has to do with the rhetoric.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. And I know that she's voted, from what I understand, on a couple of policies and that just may go against what the residents of Apex would, her constituents would.
Well, she voted against the amendments.
Right, the amendments of which ones?
Well, the 2 amendments,
okay.
The state cap on income tax,
okay, which is
and then also to rein in the property tax. So even if she said, no, I believe in big government, that's a no go for me. I draw the line.
Right.
Shouldn't you let it's not going to hurt if you actually give people, the Democrat ability, right? No, you actually, I'm going to disenfranchise voters.
Right.
I'm going to disenfranchise them because I'm not going to let them vote on this amendment.
Gotcha. So she voted against the 2 constitutional amendments that are going to be on the ballot this year.
Yeah, all the Democrats did.
Yeah,
they all voted against it for some reason. They believe in big government.
Well, they don't want the people to have the decision-making power to make it. There's a couple of ways to look at it, right?
But they're the first to tell you that they don't want to disenfranchise voters. But their vote actually did just that.
Hence the hypocrisy, right?
That's the full circle.
Right. I got you. Hence the hypocrisy. So they
circled around on that one.
That's right. So she voted against those 2 policies, and again, because the party probably in total agreed in themselves to all vote against this versus being independent in the sense of this would benefit my people. If it passed.
That's what I said before.
Right.
She said there are votes that I didn't agree with.
Right.
Well, that should be scary because I don't think there's any politician that's survived re-election like saying things like that and saying, sometimes you just got to vote with the party. Whereas most people, especially in our district, 54% independent, they want to know that you're not owned by the party.
That's right.
Some people are going to believe what they're going to believe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When 54% independent, they're looking at you thoughtfully, saying, is this guy a hypocrite? And is this guy going to just vote with his party? Or is he going to vote his conscience? Right?
Exactly. So that's perfect.
And you know me, Gil.
Yeah.
I speak my mind.
Yeah.
I don't know what I don't know. I am a little bit naive joining in politics, but you have to be.
Yeah.
You have to be. You have to. It has to seem like a mission, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you're just crazy.
I gotcha. So rapid fire questions here, more personal than necessarily politics, but rapid fire questions here. Hot dogs and hamburgers or neither?
I'm a big hamburger. Yeah, I like the hamburger. Hot dogs are good if you want to feed people quick.
Right. But I'm talking about for you to eat. I'm not talking about other people.
Oh, well, I'm a hamburger guy.
Okay. So no hot dogs for you, right? Okay. Pizza or no pizza?
Pizza.
Okay. Coffee, hot or cold?
Well, any way I can get it, but hot.
Hot coffee.
Even on a 100-degree day, I don't know why, I'm getting a hot cup of coffee.
Gotcha. Okay, so would you prefer seeing a movie that came out in the theater, or would you prefer to see it on Netflix?
Well, it depends on if they have the food there. I like where they serve the food.
Oh, so you like the theaters that have food?
Yeah, the cushy. I like the ones where they serve the food there.
Cine Bistro and Holly Springs.
Oh, those
AMC.
are great. Those are great.
So you prefer that. So if it has food, that'll bring you in. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So when you go to work out and you exercise, are you listening to music or podcasts, or is it silent?
I don't like silent.
Okay.
It depends on how vigorous I am.
Okay.
Mostly music.
Yeah. Okay. So if you do, I don't know if you walk in the park or anything like that. You take a walk versus working out. Do you take a walk to kind of clear your mind? Do you listen to music, podcasts, or the same kind of thing?
Well, lately I'm listening to they're like chants, and they're supposed to be to kind of settle your mind.
I got you. Okay.
And to battle like oppression, like.
Right.
Because when you join politics, there are things flying at you from every day, just to kind of settle your mind and to make sure that you don't fall under any negative force.
Mindset reset. Mindset shifts kind of thing. I got you. Instrumental.
Because it gets a lot of politicians. A lot of politicians start out and they say, I'm going to do this, that, and they start out with good intentions.
Yeah.
But then something gets to them.
So if you had unlimited time and unlimited resources, where would you want to go to travel? Where would be your first place to go? Unlimited time. Money's not a problem. Time is not an issue. Where would you go?
We'd probably go on a cruise, but do one where you kind of do the Mediterranean.
Okay.
You kind of get to see a little bit of everything.
Right.
My wife and I are big cruisers. So,
okay.
The with the cruise, you only get a little bit of taste of everything, but you at least know where you want to go back.
Right. Exactly. And the last one, and this doesn't have to be politically oriented, is if you had one superpower that can be given to you, And you don't have to answer this right away. You can think it through, right? Some people ask this question, ask that right away, and then they think about, done that. Superpower. What would that superpower be? One.
Yeah, instead of like being the strongest guy in the world or
that's whatever it is for you,
whatever, I would say the ability to give people greater empathy.
Okay, interesting. So you want people to feel for others, basically.
That's what we got to do nowadays.
Okay.
That's lacking right now.
Wow. Okay. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. But we were talking to Bryson Johnson today, who's running for North Carolina House 21, about his campaign for House, and we covered a couple of topics here: affordability, taxes, public safety, civil conversations, and sometimes hypocrisy in politics as well. So, and we heard the tail end of this, some of the rapid fire questions on just stuff that people just like to know: hot dogs or hamburgers, that kind of thing. So, Bryson, it was a joy to have you here in the studio and learn about your campaign, a little bit more about you, and kind of like what's driving you. And last parting words for our audience today regarding you, the campaign, and the like.
Yeah, thank you, Gil. At the end of the day, I am what I am. I'm very...
Like Popeye.
I am what I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm upfront. Mm-hmm. I'm transparent. And people can see that.
Yeah.
And when they get to know me, but it also takes a little bit of learning because people have been burned in politics before, and they say, "Oh, this guy can't be too good to be true," right?
Yeah, right.
No, I am what I am. I speak my mind. I just actually have a good heart for people, and I think conservative values are lacking right now, and just trying to do my best to impart those values to everybody else.
Awesome. Thank you for being here and on the show. And listen, all the best in the campaign. May you do well and be protected as you go out there and do stuff, and that your family be protected as you do stuff. It's just, it's hot out there right now, literally, temperature-wise, but also just in the political arena.
And if you pray,
yeah,
don't just pray for your success. Mm-hmm. Pray for your enemies as well, because I've done that. Started to do that more. I say enemies in quotes because we shouldn't have enemies, right? But you have opponents. But it really will change your heart, for the better.
Well, thank you for those last words. Thank you for being with us. Until next week, we'll see you next time. Bendiciones.
Gracias por sintonizar Café con Hispanos, la voz de nuestra gente hispana en Carolina del Norte. Si desea contactar a nuestro conductor Gilbert Pagán, llame hoy al 919-931-4597. 919-931-4597. Síganos en nuestras redes sociales como Hispanos del Sur. Puede enviarnos un correo electrónico a connect@hispanosdelsur.com. Hasta pronto.
La estaba saboreando. Y aquí le preguntó, ¿pero por qué tú te comes esa naranja así?